welcome. For the guests who, for the people who are watching who don't know who you are, I wanted the chance to introduce you first. And then I'll give you the opportunity to. I always like to do this because it's nice for us
correct.
to. Well, it's nice.
I was going to say correct the facts.
Correct the facts. But all I'm doing is looking back on the episode that we did with you originally. You know, so I've made a few notes from going back. Peter, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Your notes. Season 9.
Right, yeah.
Episode 3.
Fine.
In May 2022, this was released. Our episode when we chatted. Yeah. You know, that was a
good one.
It was a while ago.
It was a cracking one. It was a good episode.
And to be honest, the one bit that stuck out for me, and I've noted it again, was one of the quotes that I pulled from yours was, "Great events start with." You
my word.
start with great people.
Oh yeah, no.
And
yeah,
that was
it's always about the people.
And I thought that was fantastic, and it really did pull through.
Do you think I should encapsulate that a bit more?
Capture it more into your work.
Okay.
You know, it
Not
might be
just
something
like,
to do.
not
just on a podcast.
Not just throw that out there. Right, okay. No, you're right. It is always. It still is always about the people.
Yeah. And Helen.
Yeah.
All the way back to season 5.
Oh.
Episode 5 in June 2021.
Wow. My life.
So there was a lot going on at that time.
There was. Or not a lot going on, which was
No,
probably
yeah,
the
yeah,
case.
probably
but
a bit
a lot
both.
of other stuff going on. Yeah.
And there was a couple of things that I pulled from yours.
Oh, yeah.
Well, actually, there was 3, but I'm not going to mention one of them. But, because we'll just get laughing in terms of your choice of desserts if we go down that if we go down that route. But
It was a choice of, it was the serving
of
how the choice of dessert was served. And,
do you want to explain that to Peter?
No, you got to.
Chocolate mousse that was served in a conference mug as opposed to a set moulded dessert. At a
That was the
celebrity,
solution.
OK magazine wedding.
You weren't happy?
No. Safe to say that the chef, there were a few choice words served with the chef. Yeah.
It's not the damn thing.
No, not really.
But that was the third one. I didn't even note that one down because I did giggle when she said that one, but I did pick a couple of others. I noted down something will always go wrong at an event.
Yep.
It's how you deal with it that matters.
Yep.
Which I think we can all relate to.
Yeah.
And the other one, which I preach constantly, is work hard, rest hard, the play will take care of itself. And that's one.
That's nice.
And that's one that I constantly still preach, right back since 2001. It's something that I've taken on when I'm speaking to my staff, you know, because there's still that aspect of people saying, "Oh no, gotta go at it, 100%, and then we'll go out and we'll stay out and then we'll go." No, make sure you get a lot of good rest.
Yeah.
You'll enjoy the play more. If you're rested, you will enjoy the play more, and the work will certainly be more. So. That's from me. That's a little cap shot in terms of from looking back at the episodes. What we'd always normally like to do now is offer you the chance to tell us what's happened since, because a lot has happened in your journey. So, I mean, we try and keep a track with all of our guests on their socials, catching up with them sometimes at events, but it'd be nice for our audience to find out what's happened since. So, Peter, I don't know whether I can pass that across to you.
I mean, I think it's been. I think the big thing, just reflecting from, let's just say the end of COVID, which is we were kind of like both of us were sitting in this podcast, you a bit more in it, and then towards the end, I think the big thing is the transition of how the event industry has picked back up, because it was rough, and just simply, and one of the big noticeable aspects was the fact that if there are no people going to things, if there's no fans, if there's no guests, there's no one attending, that's a whole different ball game to putting on something just for the sake of it. I remember doing things like Ascot, Royal Ascot during COVID, and you know, it was almost like you knew you had to do it because of the industry, and you had to do, you know, there was a need to make it carry on so that, you know, there's a whole kind of thing around the horses and jockeys and all of those kind of things, people earning their living and all of that. But the fact that there was nobody there watching it was, you know, in a way, just sad and kind of semi-pointless. It just became an exercise on television. So people at home could watch it, obviously, but the people there, the live bit, the bit that I suppose the event industry lives for, was just completely missing. And I suppose we as an industry never realised that, and you never experience it. You don't want to experience that. Normally that means the event's rubbish if there's no one there. But I suppose going forward, how the industry then has moved forward, and I suppose with a sense of vigour, which are probably an effort because we had to, because there was a need to really pick it up and go for it, and some people were suffering financially, and people had to put on a lot of effort to get things moving again and start making money again and start putting on their events. And it has been an interesting few years, and I think it's probably only now-ish in the last year or so where we've kind of got back to probably where we were in the past and what we were doing. I think there was a big effort, and there was also a load of the industry went missing, as in people, the thing we were talking about right at the beginning. That was a huge thing. I remember in the 23, 24, a lot of different people being part of the industry, because some of the other people had just stopped because of circumstances and money and job and security.
And didn't want to take the risk again.
And and they just, finished, or they got made redundant and then found something else, and not on purpose, just didn't return to the industry. And I think that's interesting. There's a fair amount of new faces which kind of came in, and now obviously those people are a few years experience, so that kind of understanding is now built back in. But again, I remember, I think it's the 23 Royal Ascot, which we do a fair amount of work at, was one of the hardest from a management point of view, because we had to, all the assumptions of how things happened, as in people always did that, that always happened, and that we don't have to worry about that. Well, hang on, no, they're not there, or that's been forgotten, or that was never written down, it just occurred, and then someone goes, we always do that at 8 o'clock. And it's those kind of things to get back into the rhythm of those.
So does that mean that you're really then having to re-educate staff, both existing staff and the new people that you've got coming into Ascot?
This is just a feeling. Well, no, it's more than a feeling. I think there has been, in the industry, there has been a momentum that kind of a little bit of a reset, and I think it's been probably quite good in a way, because some things that people maybe took for granted or just assumed or always did. I think that's one of the dangerous things in events anyway, is we've always, I hate that phrase, we've always done it like that. I mean, that's just like the word, hopefully no one says that anymore, but they do. It's just frustrating that and I think that has changed a bit. I think that because you can't say that off kind of in a lot of situations now. So I think the emphasis is therefore in making sure everyone's getting up to speed, whatever roles people are coming into and things, that people understand why they're there, what they're doing, how they're enhancing that experience, what role have they got, what's the bigger picture, what are they trying to achieve, especially for the people who are there on the day, the fans, the attendees, the guests, the VIPs, players, whatever, that they actually feel that whatever services we're delivering is enhancing that experience. And pushing that message, I think, has happened more maybe because of COVID, because people had to reset and it forced everyone to go, we can't just keep doing the same thing. We need to do that, we need to do that, we need to invest in that, we need to change that. Things like, and a lot of things like online training and stuff has helped, because you can get the simple messages over, as well as obviously on the job and proper mentoring and proper task training and all of those kind of things. So I think there has been an effort in that, which is good.
Quite a lot's happened since we spoke to you.
No, definitely. No, it's been busy.
Helen, how do you follow up from that one, Helen? Because I know, personally, things have been busy. So why don't you let us know what's been happening?
Oh, crikey. So, complete change from the last time we had a conversation.
No more moose in a mug.
No more moose in a mug. No more screaming at chefs and stuff. It's a lot more on-site stuff. So, so it wasn't shortly after we had a conversation that I got a email during COVID from an organiser I know in the industry. She's called Lou Kiranuka. She runs Ops Nest. Very liked lady, Great reputation, just amazing individual in terms of what she's done for the industry. But she contacted me around about that time to say, Helen, DSCI is happening in September at London Excel. Everyone's at a point in time where stress levels, everyone's worried about going back. Yeah. There's obviously the attendees, DSCIs are quite intense. Profile, intense events, which, you know, I won't go into purpose for that. We don't want to turn this into a political debate, do we? But could you get me mental health first aiders? To which I responded, at the time we were doing a lot of mental health first aid training, mental health and wellbeing training, weren't we? To which point I turned around and said, yeah, of course I can, but mental health first aid, I can't just give mental health first aid on a show floor. They need somewhere to give something that's confidential, that's discreet, that they can go and have a chat and make sure that person feels safe and supported. So, will you let me put a quiet room in? To which point the reply was, what's a quiet room? And the rest, as they say, is history. So our very first quiet room as an organisation went into DSCI. I mean, you know, a small event. We started small. You know, it's a nice, easy one to get us started with, you know. One of the biggest events that's held in the uncontroversial events that's held in the UK. And literally, we haven't really looked back from there, kind of stuff. First year, we put 12 quiet rooms into events, and that was me in my car. My little Qashqai, my little mummy car, like proper car tetra, like you do when you start in businesses and you start in services. We've all been there at some point, haven't we, at the very beginning? And it's literally you. So we did 12 in that first year, then it was 24, then year 3 was 56. And in the last, which is our 4th year, we did 76 events last year. So we've grown exponentially year on year. And it's not to say it hasn't come with its challenges, which obviously, Jack, you're aware of, and stuff. You know, we're not for profit at the end of the day, so not for profits are even more tricky to manage and finance and keep going. Cash is king, they always say in businesses, so cash flow can be really tricky. So it's not been easy, but it's been a journey and a really heartwarming one to watch the industry embrace neuro-inclusion, especially because at the same time, which obviously I wasn't aware of when we last spoke, finding out, oh, there we go, and there's a squeak. Finding out that I'm myself neurodivergent. So at the time, starting EventWell and founding EventWell in 2017 was very much at the heart of it was my own personal journey of living with my mental health while being an event professional. But now that conversation is very much, actually not shortly after our last conversation, finding out that I myself was neurodivergent while taking EventWell on its neuro-inclusion, neurodiversity kind of journey into what we do now. And from that quiet room perspective, that first quiet room was very, very different to how they are now. Because I think one of the things we're most proud of EventWell is that we've taken the people that those spaces serve with us on that journey, and they've designed those spaces now. So when I bang on the importance of safeguarding and supervision, it's not just coming from us because we've been doing this for 5 years, it's actually coming from the people that use the spaces.
So what do the spaces look like now compared to how they started out? If people haven't been into a space
If you looked at some of the photos, even just the photos, but I don't think it, and this is from my part as a board member, it's not just the photos, it's actually the feeling you get going into them now is a completely different feeling. Not to say they weren't ever in a good place when we started them.
No, exactly.
You know, because they were, because it was new, it was, but the different feeling you get when you go into some of the places, into some of the rooms now and spaces.
There's a lot of science behind our rooms, there's a lot of psychology, there's a lot of research and stuff behind our rooms, so it's not just a room that looks pretty, there's a certain, the colours that we use are specific. They're there for a purpose. Even the chairs and the way we lay out the room is there for a specific reason. The smells are all autistic friendly and there in terms of vagal nerve activation and decompression and regulation. So everything, the sounds as well, we use delta sounds as opposed to white noise. Some people say you should put white noise in quiet rooms. You shouldn't, actually. You should put delta because you have a beta. Your brain, when you're attend an event, your brain will be in a beta state, so you need to bring it for regulation, decompression, you need to bring it down to delta. So we use specific sounds and smells and lights. Every single thing is designed for regulation, so you feel it. We know if anybody's struggling in an event, we just need to get them inside our room, and it will help the decompression process without them even realising that's what's happening. And that's taken a good 4 years, 5 years of planning and research and speaking to people and watching and observing and knowing it works.
If you found that venues themselves have taken on a quiet room, so do they have a specific room?
Yeah, it's a bone of contention with us in the events industry. So there are some venues that are looking to incorporate their own quiet rooms, but a lot of the time it's just a room that's got nothing in it. It's just a room, they put some chairs in it and they call it a quiet room, and then they say that it's multi-purpose, that people can use it as a prayer space as well, which they shouldn't be, really. You should have a separate prayer room and you should have a separate quiet room. We actually say now that it shouldn't actually be called quiet rooms, they should be called sensory rooms, because for events you need sensory decompression. That's what people need, not necessarily just a quiet room. So there's a lot of complication around it, but we tend to find with venues as well, they tend to be in the wrong location. So from an accessibility and inclusion perspective, because I come from hotel and venue world, so I know it's very easy for you to turn around and say, well, that room, we hardly ever sell that room, it doesn't get used. And the reason you hardly ever sell that room or it doesn't get used is because it's in the wrong place.
Yeah, it's all the way
so
down
then what
there.
they go and say is, we'll turn it into a quiet room. Still in the wrong place, people.
It's down there around the corner, not close to anything.
But it ticks a box.
Yeah, I think
It
that
ticks a
Ticks a box.
Yeah.
There's a venue that are able to say, we've got a tick.
Yeah.
And I think probably, we'll find it within our own businesses, and I'm sure you have it, is the strength to be able to say, well, if we can't do it right, we're not going to do it.
Yeah.
And I suppose that's the same for you in business. I know it's the same for me. Projects that you get asked to do, when you are, especially from a not-for-profit perspective, if someone's wanting to pay you to come in, but they're not able to offer you the space and the right environment, for you to have the strength to be able to say, we can't deliver.
Yeah.
How difficult have you found that as a leader of a business, being able to say no because they're not able to give you the space?
It's hard. It was at first. It was hard. I'm very much coming from that event industry, we're people pleasers, aren't we? So we're used to saying yes, we'll make it work. Yes, make it work. Yes, make it work. So we have had customers have turned around and said that to us, but we're the customer and we're asking you just need to do what we say. Type something like no, we don't, because this is accessibility inclusion. So it's almost like, in a way, because it's about accessibility, because it's DEI, because it's about people that have needs that need to be accommodated and looked after, and it's almost like we're custodians of that in a way. Yeah. So we've got braver. We're now at the point where we're turning around to more people and saying, if you're not going to do it properly, then don't do it at all. Yeah. And even for these organisers that don't necessarily have budgets to put a proper supervised quiet room in place, so we turn around and say, if you haven't got the budget, then don't put it in. These are the things you can do instead. So, for example, good example you can do is registration points. So have half an hour, 45 minutes before you open your registration point, and have that as your quiet registration. Yeah. So anybody who's autistic or ADHD or neurodivergent can check in, and then all you need to do is just provide a little lounge area with some tea and coffee and let them sit and wait. Yeah. I'm the sort of person, I'm neurodivergent. I will go to the airport 3.5 hours, nearly 4 hours before, because we know what the queues are. And that's not just me, that's my husband as well. So we know that, just tell me when the quiet room is, I'll rather do that.
And you'd much rather these organisations take stepping stones in the right direction, doing it right along the way, rather than trying to jump to there and do it wrong.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Make sure your communications are really strong. Yeah. Do this instead. Make sure you've got good food and beverage choices, plain options. Make sure everything's labelled. Send out sensory mapping, really, really strong join instructions. Help people find the venue and get to and from the venue. So relieve any of those stresses. You don't necessarily have to put a quiet room into an event. But too many people are using it as a tip box.
Yeah. I think also something you said just a bit earlier was also within, say, like venues, putting on major events and all of those kind of things. Sometimes the focus is on the guest, so they'll put in a sensory room and all of those kind of things for ticket holders, or people to use, and then when they think someone says, "Oh, what about staff?" You've got 6,000 staff rattling around, and then that's when they go, "Oh, well, there's a room." And the difference between the two spaces.
It doesn't start until the show starts.
It's just, there's one thing for the guests, and then your staff, there's a room with a chair in it.
How many times have we had that conversation in board meetings where the show starts on this day, that's when the sensory room starts.
Yeah.
But you've actually got crews and crews of people in for 4 or 5 days before the show begins and 3 or 4 days after. And you just think, but what about all those individuals? Your whole event isn't. Your live event is, but your whole event isn't. So it's a challenge.
Does anybody know of an event that does that then, that takes care of the staff in advance with like that quiet space or that kind of sensory?
We've done a few. We have done a few, not all of them. So Wilderness Festival last year, because we do a lot of festivals and outdoor stuff as well, London Marathon events and Festival Republic, and as well as our conference exhibition stuff. So Wilderness Festival last year, they actually put a space back a house for the team as well, which we trialled with them the first time they'd done that, so we helped them with that.
Good feedback?
Really good feedback from it. Really, really welcomed. And it's always, you have to get people used to the fact that it's there. So it's always about communication and stuff as well, making sure that your comms are really strong to let people know it's there. And also, the biggest challenge you have with your back of house, your crew, is giving people permission to use it.
Yeah, that's a big one.
It's the biggest thing. Giving people permission to use it so they can go and take a break.
That's right.
So, and getting over that kind of stigma piece, or what people are going to think if I go and sit in the sensory room. So there's those kind of challenges around it. But DSCI, actually, that first quiet room, we were on site for 2.5 weeks the first time, because they actually wanted to make sure that it was in place for the team. They haven't necessarily repeated that in the last couple of years. But we've got other organisers have done that as well. Montgomery Group, they've got a couple of their dates where they've looked at doing the build and the break kind of time. We tend to say it's that last day of build and the first day of break, because that's the first day of break is when you see the exhaustion, when the adrenaline is dropped, and everyone's kind of like,
everyone's just pushing through to the end, and that's when you might need that moment to have some time just to regroup yourself.
So kind of a snapshot in terms of what's happened since we spoke last. I want to try and really pinpoint for you some wins from last year. So if you were to pick out 2 or 3, they were standout moments. They don't have to be financial. They can just be moments that you help deliver or anything. But if I was to put pressure on you, Peter, to say from a personal and from a business point of view, were there any standouts for 2025 that you'd share?
Yeah, I think I suppose there's one from ROCKVOLT's, from the company's point of view. We were last year and the year before, well, actually for a number of years, we've done a fair amount of work with AFC Wimbledon. And they're an amazing story. Someone will make a film about AFC Wimbledon at some point, as in the fact that they lost the club, it disappeared to Milton Keynes. I'm not going to go into all that detail. Actually, if you're with the AFC Wimbledon fans, you can't even say the word Milton Keynes.
I was going to say, you're in trouble already.
It's very still.
One of our good peers in the industry is a season ticket holder at Wimbledon, and he would have you straight away.
There's some their memories go back. So and quite rightly, it was a weird time for them back 20 odd years ago now, where it's the only time it's ever happened, and I don't think it ever will, where franchise football came into this country, whereas in America, everyone does that. You have a team in Los Angeles, and suddenly next week it's in Pittsburgh, Pittsburgh, and everyone goes, and they accept it, but that doesn't happen here, apart from that one moment. So they basically rebuilt the club, and they had this dream of getting back to Wimbledon, and they managed to, unbelievably, 5 years ago now, they opened 2020, they got back to Plough Lane, which is, they are literally a stone's throw away from their original stadium. That's amazing for a start. And you can throw a stone from their stadium to where they used to be. It is that close. And for that to happen, and all the various building blocks and things, and the journey and the momentum and moving up the league, because they came in at the 8th level or whatever, and they've moved up and all of that. It is unbelievable. And they're still fan-owned, which is unbelievable as well in today's day and age. So it's an amazing club, and we were fortunate enough to start working with them as they opened the new stadium and help them on all of their operations and all of those things to get the ball rolling, and the enthusiasm is incredible, and for like the passion. And that's another interesting thing in the event industry. If you've got passion, it is tangible, and it achieves so much, that this kind of drive to do things, and you get a collective amount of passion to achieve things. And in your world, it's the same. That's what you need to get change, and people then put things in place, and people go the extra mile and all of that kind of stuff, and they have the common view. Incredible. Anyway, the reason why last year was so interesting. So that was all good anyway, but their pitch blew up. At the end of 2024. It did. It exploded. So
seriously, read into it. Read into it. It was amazing at the time.
I don't think it's happened very often. I'm not sure it's ever happened. It's not meant to happen. You're not meant to.
No, funny
the pitch is not meant to explode overnight.
It wasn't a planned celebration event.
It was quite annoying, because it became like the biggest golf bunker. I mean, if you had taken a pitching wedge, you could have basically played a round of golf on it. But it was so it was circumstances, and it's one of those things where people were aware that a lot of London's on floodplains. It just is. A lot of buildings are in danger if it flood. We didn't get any river water coming in or anything, but there was one of those 1 in 20, 1 in 100 year rainfall things, where a month's amount of rain ended up raining in that area, very concentrated. The River Wandle, which flows into the Thames, rose within, we've got all the data, within minutes, just rose like 3 meters. No water, therefore, from standing water or your surface water out of drains off roads was going anywhere. And a lot of it then ended up in Wimbledon's grounds.
Apart from Wimbledon's ground.
Yeah, so Wimbledon's ground became, the actual pitch is slightly raised, so it didn't get onto the pitch, but everything around, not just Wimbledon's football ground, there was all the other buildings around it, all the roads, just got flooded. So we had about that much in our ground floor.
Oh my God.
And around. It's quite a flat site, so it was like a massive lake with a football pitch in it. It's like the football pitch had a moat.
Yeah.
So we noticed that when we were clearing up, and then someone went, "Have you seen the pitch?" We were like, "Oh!" And what happened overnight was we got an attenuation tank under the pitch, and it basically burst. It just got so pressurised, and it burst, and the water, it carries about 1 million litres, just came up through the pitch.
I did say wins for 2025.
Yeah, no.
Did I?
But no,
we're going to get that.
I was just thinking that.
What was interesting? Right, I'm rambling on. I'm setting the scene. So yes, but what was interesting? Obviously tragic, absolutely horrific. Everyone coming in and dealing with it. I mean, it took ages to, the whole ground floor and everything had to be revamped. Loads and loads of mess. We had to move everyone out upstairs and all of this kind of stuff using conference facilities to offices and all that. So it took about 6 months to get the stadium back to running. But from a fan point of view, this was what was interesting. Within 3 weeks, we were playing football again. Now, there was loads and loads of issues still being resolved, but from a point of view of the guest experience, it was like, and also finance, it was, we missed 2 games, I think. 1 game we had to move up to Newcastle instead of playing at home, and 1 game got postponed totally and had to be redone. But that was it.
That's mad.
And the people who dealt with the pitch, I mean, it took 2 weeks to turn it around. It was incredible. And that is when you suddenly realise, amongst all the, you're talking earlier in your previous podcast about things will go wrong. You cannot, in this industry, just think, everything will be nice, everything nice. You turn up that day, I remember it was, in autumn of 24, people were coming in, it was on a Monday, it happened overnight on a Sunday, and we were then sending messages, don't come in. And once a few of us realised the extent, and then you start planning. Okay, now what do we do? What are the steps? And the sense of purpose amongst all those people. The staff team were incredible. And that's when you realise, contractors and AFC Wimbledon staff, there was no differentiation. I mean, some of the contractors who, were employed by Wimbledon were actually some of the stars. I mean, the effort they put in was unbelievable, the kind of common purpose to get this place back. The volunteers, the fans, all of those kind of people trying to help and things. I mean, clearing the place out was horrible, especially carpet. Do you know some carpet fitters stick carpet you know some carpet comes up really easily. You're like, oh, that's easy. Then you get one bit, and you're like, who stuck this down?
It's always the one bit.
Who's the clever dick that's put loads of tape down on that area?
It's just
Or use the spray.
Yeah, it's just stuck. It's like, you're having to get like a shovel. It's like, what? This is meant to just come up. Anyway, so yes, but then that period of achievement, but working all together, making decisions, having to make quick decisions, but the right ones, getting experts in, getting people in, and even things like our loss adjusters, our insurers, absolutely phenomenal. Everyone working together to try and get this back, this disaster, really. I mean, there was no pitch, well, in one corner, it was just missing. And then, you know, people coming in, fixing all the drainage, fixing the groundwater, the surface water drainage systems, then getting all the pitch sorted out, re-turfing it, making sure it was all correct, making sure we had inspections from the EFL, obviously, and all of these kind of things, making sure everything was all okay. And in about 2.5 weeks turned it around, and it was the pitch bit. So, you know, incredible. And so, yes,
that is a standout. That's a standout moment for 2025.
I never would want that to happen again, because it was difficult.
But if it happened anywhere else in the Football League, there's a team that can jump on it and help us.
But it is incredible, the spirit, and it goes back to
people.
The people's, you know, different individuals doing things which are way out of their scope.
Do you think we thrive on that kind of challenge? Like, we like it when it runs as it should do, but actually when something's thrown in like that, we're like, oh yes, I can get on my skill set out now and have a little go.
I loved it. I mean, I remember the CEO of AFC Wimbledon, James. He said to me halfway through, he goes, "You actually love this, don't you?" And I was like, "I don't love it. It's not like I'm enjoying the fact that we're like, but it's a buzz, isn't it?"
I've always said,
and he's like, no, this is like horrible.
I've always said, if it's out of your control, if it's something you've set up and you're ready to deliver, you don't want any of that to go wrong. But if you're at an event and something goes wrong over there, and you feel as though you're in a position that I've earned these grey hairs, I know how I can help out. I can see that creating, but if it's your own stuff and goes wrong, you think, oh crumbs, what's gone wrong?
Well, poor old James was, he was just looking at all the costs and all the having to deal with the EFL and rearrangements of things and all the issues. Yeah. And I'm there with the guys, trying, we'll do that. We've got diggers coming in, and yes, we've got
this is so exciting. We've got diggers, like boys' toys are coming in. It's great.
Helen, how are you going to talk about your 2025 now?
I'm not quite sure. I might have to do something. Invite me back next year. I might have to rig something up. So that,
it's not a competition.
No.
I know.
Wins are personal in terms of for you personally or for the organisation, for EventWell. What was 2025 sort of giving you the opportunity for?
I think 25. There was a pivotal moment in June of 2025 for me, which. I'm not going to lie, as a business owner and a not-for-profit business owner, the last 2 years have not been easy. It's been hard. I mentioned before, cash is king. And when you're a not-for-profit and you can't go to the bank and say, can you lend us some money, it's not even king. What would you put that was above kings type stuff? It's so important. So it's not been easy. And there's been so many moments over the last 2 years, particularly as well when you mentioned that passion. So I'm so personally aligned with this because this isn't just my business, it's my life. Yeah. So I've literally put blood, sweat and tears. Everything personal about me has been put out there in the industry. So much so to the point that I actually worry about if EventWell was to stop, would I actually get a job? The amount of information I've put out there, very, very personal information to try and spread education and awareness. So there's just been loads of moments where you kind of go, why am I doing this? Why are we doing this? Type stuff where you could easily have stopped. And then I always say to myself, so I always have in my toolkit, so when I'm having those moments, I always say to myself, and I've said this to both of you at times, haven't I always go on site. Mm-hmm. And I make sure that I'm on site. And I have those moments where it grounds me to remind me of why we do what we do. And the moment last year, 2025, was at Isle of Wight Festival. It was the second year. And we actually started working in festivals quite quickly after me making a decision that festivals and outdoor events is our next line of attack, basically. That's what we're going to go into. So it was the second year doing Isle of Wight Festival. The first year of Isle of Wight Festival, we'd met a family there. And there was, it was a mum with her son and her daughter and her mum. Her son is autistic with high complex needs, autistic. So he needs a lot of support. Her husband had passed away 2 years before, and the headliner at 2024 was Pet Shop Boys. And the last concert they'd seen as a couple was a Pet Shop Boys. So, but she's an Isle of Wight super fan, so she goes back every year. Yeah. So you'll have them for Ascot, and so there are people that go every year, regardless. Yeah. They will go. They'd never had put a sensory calm space in Isle of Wight before. And one of the things that they not managed to find us on the Friday, they found us on the Saturday, which was the night of the Pet Shop Boys headliner. And she'd been really worried that they weren't going to make it to see the Pet Shop Boys because he complex needs. So, it's difficult, it's tricky. Because our space was there and everything, so we're talking about the design of the space and everything that we put in as well. It all has a specific, it does something, there's magic in our spaces. A lot of planning, a lot of design, a lot of science behind our spaces, so we know it works. Her son used the space and they managed to get to Pet Shop Boys headline. He was completely calm, whereas the day before they'd had lots of difficulty and issues in terms of managing him and managing his experience. The other thing as well is that he'd never coloured in colour, ever. And he coloured in colour for the first time using our space. And she got to see Pet Shop Boys. And the funniest thing in 2024 was on the Sunday, he'd managed to be regulated so much that she could leave him with her mum and go and enjoy the festival before, and she'd never been able to do that before, ever. So at one point she came running over to us at the tent. It was hilarious. It was a funny set, and we were all in tears. We were all in floods because she was covered in glitter. Her hair was up here. She was dressed up, and she just, obviously, you could very much see neurodivergent herself, but she was like, I'm having a ball. And then went running off again, and we were just like, oh my life.
That's a magic moment.
But for this year, I think that the bit that got me was they were back this year, and they came and used the space, and he calls it the tent. So what we would classify that as timeout. Yeah. When he's non-verbal, he just does that. T for tent. He doesn't call it sensory calm or anything, he calls it the tent. You've got to take me to the tent. Yeah. So she would come quite often. And again, the same thing, it kept him nice and regulated. And there were a couple of moments where we gave extra assistance in terms of managing his experience. And then he did colouring again, and he coloured in colour. But the thing that stood out for me is that obviously I recognised the mum from the year before, and we had one of those moments, mum moments I call them, where you give another mum a hug, and it was just one of those bits where you kind of give like an unspoken kind of things when you've got kids. And she turned around to me and said, he's never coloured in colour outside of this tent, but he's just coloured in colour again. So she kind of takes, every time he comes in the tent now, she's got 2 years of pictures, and she keeps them, she takes the pictures and stuff away. And it was one of those moments where it's something that lives with him now for when he goes to the Isle of Wight Festival, the tent. You've got to go to the tent, where's the tent? But also the thing that he does that he only does when he goes to the tent. So it was just one of those moments that's really kind of encapsulated for me everything that we do, the importance of it, the reason we do it. And it's just moments like that that just refire the passion a little bit, that keeps you fighting and going forward. Because I could have it's not been easy, and there's a lot of knockback from the industry at the moment, and you mentioned venues putting their own quiet rooms and stuff in, venues that aren't helping, other consultants out there that don't see the importance of why, from a safeguarding perspective, why spaces have to be properly resourced and supervised, and all of these kind of aspects to it. People being put at risk more than anything else. And it has not been easy, but it was just that moment for me, going back to Isle of Wight Festival, and just it's the colouring. I'm not filling up now because I've got too much mascara on, by the way, because I was told not to dress up.
I'll let the
But it was just, it's just one of those moments where you kind of go,
that's why you do what you do.
It. Yeah.
It reminds me of that classic story of the boy walking along the beach with all the starfish on the shore, and he's picking them up and throwing them back in the sea. And a man comes along and goes, well, why are you doing that? You know, there's like thousands of them. What's the point? And the boy just picks up another starfish, throws it back in the sea, made the difference to that one. That's what it's about. You know, that.
Yeah.
You know,
We've always said that from the very beginning when we started. We always said, because we'll work with organisers that get kind of heads up about how many people have used it. We even had one organiser, we don't work with them anymore, it's again choosing who you work with, that basically had turned around and said, well, it's a feature. And because it was a 25,000 pax conference, and they expected a 3x3 metre room to achieve a 10% attendance quota, because it was a new feature for them to put it in again. And I was like,
it's cozy,
so you've got a room that will only take 3-4 people maximum at a time, and you expected 2,500 people to go through that room in 3 days.
Nice to know where you sit as well, isn't it, in that? Like, if you can give me that much space.
That's sweet.
You can come in, but you can only spend 10 minutes in there because we've got to
the
get
timer's on.
Don't sit there. Come on. Quick. Come in. Breathe it in.
We're going to use stools today because we don't want you to get comfy.
Exactly.
That's where that data thing, just data measurement thing.
Yeah.
I mean, the world you're kind of operating in. I mean, we do some stuff in like sustainability. One of the biggest things that we're trying to shape with venues, events, and sustainability is there's obviously a focus on climate change. Okay, but what we're trying to focus on is health. So health of our planet. So that's important in sustainability, climate change, and all that. But there's health in the community, and there's health in our people who work. And where you're functioning, that kind of element fits massively in that kind of thing, in the health of people and the community and things. And trying to work with venues and events to get them to understand, don't just purely focus on carbon. You know, that's one obviously important element of environmental, ESG, sustainability, whatever you want to look at it. But the whole, are we developing a sustainable kind of event in the wider picture, as in how we're serving the community, how we're serving our own people, and what that means? It makes a difference. And unfortunately, some of the metrics that we use in the industry to measure success don't fit those kind of narrative. You know, when you're looking at the health of community, health of your people, I mean, what, you know, the difference you've made for that one family is, how would you ever data that?
Can't measure it.
Can't measure that.
But it's tangible. It's happened.
Yeah.
It's made a difference, and you know, and the knock-on effect also in the community is massive.
Massive. And human health is a big part of that sustainability conversation, because effectively human beings are part of biodiversity.
Yeah, huge.
I think sometimes we forget about that kind of stuff. We make up the biodiverse aspects of the planet, and it's looking after human beings and people should go above. And I think this is one of my biggest frustrations, is it should go above profits every single time. Because effectively, that's the essence of our industry, isn't it? Our industry is about people.
Yes.
And sometimes we forget that.
Well, this leads nicely onto
People.
probably our final question for you both. We just want to talk about recruitment, retention for this year and moving forward. Like, how do you recruit? Who are you recruiting? What are you looking for? Are you looking for perm staff, freelance staff? Like, what do you look for as a business?
I think that I think there is a movement to try and get a staff team that understands what a vision is. Sorry, I'm kind of slowing it down a bit. But what I mean by that is when we're trying to employ people and things, it's trying to get the team which will understand what the end goal is, whether you're working for a client, whatever the target is, whatever the role, whatever you're trying to achieve, and get that kind of thinking. One of the things which therefore by default is trying to get a volume of work so that you don't have, so you get people coming back, especially in the event industry. It's a horrible phrase, agency staff. It's a real dilemma, because sometimes you get clients who are just like, oh, agency staff are awful. Well, hang on, there's a reason why people, casual workers and gig economy type workers, or whatever phrase you want to use, exist, because our industry ebbs and flows. You know, one week you got thousands of staff needed, the next day you might have 3, whatever. But it's that kind of getting that balance of trying to work with clients and events and things to try and get a regularity of work so that your people can, you know, come back and get involved almost as much as they want to, so that, you know, it fits in with their lives. I mean, there's some brilliant people who do multiple jobs, but it fits. That's what the event world does really well. It's like, you know, you do this, you do that, you do a portfolio. Is what the posh word is. Isn't it? I have a portfolio of employment.
It's a good word, the portfolio.
So, portfolio employment. So, so you know, that kind of thing. But that means, but then the big thing on that is in trusting and putting effort in and making sure the resources are to train people and put effort into them, and not just think of, especially in the event world, as, oh, well, they're only here for that event, so you know, therefore I'm not going to invest. That's a nightmare scenario, and and it's often from clients' point of view, because they're looking at the bottom line. But from an industry point of view, when you're actually working with staff, my view from early on is train the hell, invest in people, mentor them, give them the experience, build them up. Even if they never then work for anything that I'm involved in again, they will work for someone. It betters the industry. It just keeps moving the industry on. And I hate that mentality of just like, oh, well, we're cutting back on that. We're not doing that. There's no time for that. We're not going to invest. Or we're going to expect a load of people to turn up and on their first shift suddenly be brilliant. Well, where have you invested in earlier on? Why haven't we done any on-site training, mobilisation or whatever in the days leading up? What's going on there? Why isn't there some you know, money allocated to this? You'll get a better result. Surely you want that for your customers. Getting that kind of thinking through, I think is happening. I still think it's hard though. Bottom line at the moment is big, isn't it, in the event world? And I'd like that to ease. I really want that to ease, because I think we would do a better thing, and then I think everyone does better.
I think it's also in terms of how you work with colleagues with those agency staff, you know, freelancers, however they want to banner themselves, you know, because I've had them in the past where I've known that certain customers have just engaged really well with that member of staff. And I've said, I need you every year. Every year, this time, I need you every year. However, I'm conscious of the time when I don't need you. What are you looking for? And I'll actually go through my diary and I'll speak to my colleagues in the industry. I've got a great freelancer here who'll be fantastic for your piece of work. But you can't have them then because I need them. You know, but actually, you fill these freelancers' diaries up yourself with people in your, not with your own direct work, because you know that they'll be looked after, is maybe not the right word, but you know that they'll be invested in as well with some of your colleagues. You know, so you're wanting them because you're actually saying, they've done a great job on mine, I know they'll do a good job on yours as well. But I think sharing that.
The investment bit is, you know, spending time with and nurturing those people. And I think staff teams, no matter what their role is, will recognise when people are inputting into them and giving them effort and improving them and helping them. I think we need, but that it does need resourcing. It needs along the line that does cost. You've got
and sometimes that is just time.
Time, but that has a cost. Everything.
It is going to time. Sometimes it is time, though. Sometimes it is just saying, these people need some of my time. And I need to give them that time, whether it's watching them on site and giving them that, you know, feedback and input, or working alongside them. I still think some of the best managers, some of the best crew staff that I see actually do every single job on in the book. So there's no job too big or too small. You know, they will make sure that every one of the team sees that if it's a case of footing a pair of ladders, they'll foot a pair of ladders. If it's a case of getting a broom, they'll get a broom. They're not just walking around with a clipboard. You know, no job's too small. So I think that is I think that is important. Helen, what about from your side? How have you found in terms of that?
Yeah, totally, because I relate completely to what you've just said as well, kind of stuff. The team at EventWell see me on my hands and knees with brushes and cleaning up and tidying up, and they see me putting the tents up, pitching the bell tent at Isle of Wight Festival. I'm there with them, getting down and dirty, as you call it. But I kind of, I think when you've spent 28 years in the industry, you are one of those people that is not afraid to get their hands dirty. I think it is one of the things many of us of our kind of age are talking about, aren't we, in the industry? But for us, we're very much the same. So our team are freelancers, contractors, and up until we have to put that investment in, we have to put that training in, because the role, we can't just expect an agency worker or a freelancer to just turn up on site for our spaces, because there's so much safeguarding protocol around our spaces, and they need to have specific mental health first aid training. We've now just incorporated and built, I've written our own mental health first aid training, because the Mental Health First Aid England training doesn't work for event environments and for our spaces, and certainly isn't very neurodivergent friendly in a way as well, in terms of how you support somebody who's autistic, who's now overwhelmed. So we have to do specific training with our team. But we've got freelancers that have been with us now for 4 or 5 years and still take shifts and jobs with us. Yeah. And we're not backtracking from that investment and training, we're increasing it in the next. So we now have quite a clear, what we call a staff matrix for our freelancers and contractors, in terms of new members of the team will now join us as what we call an EventWell crew. Because the other complication we've had over the last 2 years, which has only really come to light because of festivals and outdoor event work, is volunteers. So we're a not-for-profit, so we use a lot of volunteers. But last year was really tricky, because it's really hard in not-for-profit world at the moment. And even event world, I think everybody in the events industry that probably has relied on volunteers in the past will be finding things are getting difficult, because people don't necessarily want to. There's a little bit more of what's in it for me. And I think we had difficulty last year, and I'll be honest about it. We had difficulty last year in terms of, we had a few more volunteers at our festivals last year that were just more bothered about the ticket than what we were doing. And that didn't work for us. So we've had to now completely change our staffing model in the way that we can't really work with volunteers anymore, because of things that happened on site last year. And we'd approached a company last year that could get volunteers for us, but then they were going to charge us £10 an hour for the volunteers. So I basically turned around and said, well, we can just train our own team up of freelancers and pay them living wage. Well, we're living wage employers anyway, so we just pay them the living wage, which is, it's another £3.50, £5 an hour, but it sat with us more ethically, being a not-for-profit and social enterprise. It was a bit of, I'm not comfortable with that. How much does a volunteer get of that £10? So that kind of conversation came into play. So this year now we've got our matrix, and the fact that new contractors and freelancers will join the team as EventWell crew. We will then train them up in the role as a crew member. We'll train them up in mental health first aid champions, not as a mental health first aider yet, but also in safeguarding, disability awareness, neuro inclusion, and then effectively they will work their way up to be an EventWell host. And then the EventWell hosts that have contracted with us over the last 4 years, they're all now being up to senior EventWell hosts, and effectively what we're saying is they're our core team. So they will get first dibs on the work that comes through. And then we've got other things we're introducing. Light 360s are coming into play this year, so we're going to give feedback, extra training, they're going to get a lot more time with me, because I'm taking more of a step back from operation. And that's a challenge, isn't it, when you're a business owner and it's a new business, working on the business, not in the business. So I'm taking a step back now, so I've freed myself up to do the stuff I should be doing with the team, which is making sure they feel supported, they feel secure and confident in the roles that they're going to give back to them, because effectively they do give an awful lot to us. So just making sure they have everything they need. Nice little reward, we're bringing reward payments in as well. So if a customer mentions a contractor, we give them gift vouchers and a thank you and stuff. So all of that is being brought in this year.
Yeah.
I think going on that in a general sense, what you're saying now, and going back to your question in a very broad sense, I think I'm quite buoyant about the kind of recruitment thing into the industry. I think the industry's right back there. I think there's lots going on. There's tons going on, especially in the music scene. Touring and gigs and things is huge now because that's obviously how they make a lot of money now as compared to streaming and things. So there's a lot of events going on. I mean, the festival scene is very, very big now, bigger than it used to be in a way. Yeah. And I think there are opportunities. I think there's courses now, from university stage, even, and stuff, vocational courses. There's a lot of ways into the industry now, and I think there are quality people coming in. I think there's a recognition that the industry working in events is a career. Mm-hmm. And I think, but it goes back to you, I think the good companies are the ones who then go back and invest into those people. And I think if people associate themselves with those kind of companies where they are investing and rewarding and motivating and training, good staff welfare and all of those kind of things, I think people will recognise that. And it's down to the industry to make sure that's happening, that there's good facilities. And I still see at various venues and events, it's an afterthought what the staff encounter compared to what the guests encounter, and you think, there's, it's like there's a room, there's a tent, there's nothing in it, and it's like, you're going to work 8, 10, 12 hours, and this is where you have to sit on the floor and eat your sandwich. Why do we do that? Why don't we, for the amount of money it costs, is getting that right, and then people pick up on that. They'll stay if they feel it's there's a professionalism, there's an investment. I think that's generally what we need to do, and I think that's down to organisations and clients putting the effort in, and I think it's there are people out there who will want to be involved, and there's a lot to do. It's big.
Yeah.
We could continue this for hours, but I don't think we're going to be able to, unfortunately. So I'm going to ask you to do one last thing. Right?
Okay.
There's a camera over here, and one at a time, I want you to just say who you are, the business you're working for, and how people can find you on your socials or anything like that. Send a message to the people watching. Go on, Pete.
Right. I'm Pete Watts. I'm the managing director of basically a consultancy company called ROCKVOLT. We work in sport and leisure only, working with clients, venues, events, all those kind of places to help them run, operate, deliver their events well, and it's all about the guest experience.
There we go. See,
good,
put them on the spot. Well, then,
that wasn't rehearsed or anything.
That camera again, Helen. Go on.
Talk
to the camera.
All right. My name's Helen Moon. I am the CEO of EventWell. We're a not-for-profit social enterprise specialising in making events more accessible and inclusive, predominantly for neurodivergent attendees, but for every single attendee. Everything we do is about the guest experience.
There's the theme, the guest experience.
In the end.
Thank you.
Excellent.
Thanks ever so much for your time. I really do appreciate it.
Really good.
It's been so
I look forward to catching up soon.
Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you.